And one thing that is so cool about it is that it has, when you edit the report, all the accounts are drag and drop within sections. So it's no longer having to like check the box and say move to new group and then type in the new group. You can just check a bunch of boxes for accounts and just drag them all at once into a new group, or drag the whole group into a new grouping or out of a grouping. Really, really cool stuff. Hey, we got some more people viewing. Are these all your people, Will?
Well, I don't know, but welcome for viewing.
We have no idea, but welcome everyone. This is our second Blab. I'm Blake, here with Will. Will's actually our host, so I'm kind of like hijacking this from him right now.
That's absolutely fine. I'm with the amazing Blake Oliver of hpccpa.com. So
yes, and Will is his firm is called advisorfi. They're awesome. So, and we're spanning the coasts. I'm here in LA, and Will is in. Is your office in West Palm, or is it in?
It's in Boynton Beach, actually.
Boynton Beach, okay, Boynton, which I actually used to live. I used to live one city south of you in Delray Beach.
Yes, yes.
Before I moved back to LA. So we're here talking about accounting apps, and if anyone wants to join in, you're welcome to grab a seat. That's one of the cool things about Blab is you can click on the open seat, and Will, if he's feeling good about you, will allow you to join and participate in the chat. So I've posted this into accountants, bookkeepers, and business owners on Facebook. Very nice. If you're coming from there, that's awesome. Love that group. I'm also going to try posting it a few other places. So yeah, if anyone has used the statement of cash flows report in Xero, I'd be interested to hear what you're using it for, because I just think it's awesome. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention, Will, is that you can. This is really different. You can actually take an account and you can split the debits and credits. So you can have the debits go into one section of the statement of cash flows and the credits go into another. So it makes it really easy to, you don't have to map accounts the way you have to do in, say, QuickBooks Desktop.
Right.
You can actually just move them around in the report. And so you can have multiple types of statement of cash flows reports for different purposes. One for tax, one for management.
Now, are you keeping track of your investments inside dashboard as well with all the unrealized gains or realized gains?
Yes. So I only do it on an annual basis because I'm just too lazy. But what I do is I post the unrealized gain or loss through journal entries when I get my December 31st statements for my investments. And I don't have like a ton. So I just have, a handful of mutual funds, right? So if I haven't sold it during the year, I'll just post the unrealized gain or loss. And unfortunately, last year it was losses.
Yeah,
and that shows up on the balance sheet.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm not going to make any attempt to look at my investment accounts until maybe 2017. Yes. Hopefully, I'll take the average of 2015 and 2016. So, hey, what do you think about the new global feature, the global search feature in Xero? I personally am loving it. I think it's wonderful, especially if you're trying to reference things that were categorized in places that you didn't create rules for.
Yeah, I am loving it too. I love that you can just press the question mark on your keyboard to get right there. That is really slick. We use it every day. I use it all the time when I'm looking up, customer accounts. And what's great too is you go right to the new. Well, you click on you tap on question mark. It takes you, you type in the customer name or start typing in the name, you find it in the list, you click it, and it takes you to their contact profile, which now finally shows all of their transactions in chronological order. So I can see, all the invoices and all the payments right there without having to generate a statement.
Yes.
And we just love that. I mean, there's little things like that make. I'm really happy that Xero is doing little things like that to improve, because they're not little. They really make a difference over time.
Right.
If you do it every day, you're saving hours and hours a year.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Totally agree.
So, I am loving it. So let's see. We've got 6 viewers now.
Yes.
If anyone wants to join in, we're talking cloud accounting. We don't really have an agenda. Except we're talking about accounting apps, and we'd love for you to join us because this is our second Blab, and we have not had anyone join us yet. So you could be the first one.
I will let you in with the click of a button. So,
Will, Will will let you in. Um, that's Will in the blue. I'm Blake with the strange red office wall behind me, but
Yep.
I didn't
Yep.
choose it. And I have to say, I love that shirt. I told the team about it after you told me about that shirt,
Right.
and everyone thinks it's like the most clever um, t-shirt design for your team.
Well, I was going to say I'll have to send you a very special T-shirt then of debit, cash, credit, life.
Uh, I'll absolutely. I don't know. I don't know if I'll be allowed to wear that, but I'll do it in my, while I'm on the job.
You could just kind of
But
throw some tape over this part right here.
I'll just put the HPC logo on above it,
Nice,
and
nice.
we'll co-opt your motto. I hope you haven't. You probably you may not maybe you have not trademarked it yet.
I have not, but thanks for reminding me. Maybe I'll do that. Hey, so quick question. So multi-entities inside a Xero dashboard. Do you do a lot of that kind of stuff? Do you run 2 or 3 actual organizations inside a one org Xero dashboard? What kind of pros and cons have you seen with that? Because I actually noticed a couple things
Right.
recently.
So you're talking about running the same company inside one Xero file, or multiple companies in one Xero file, or are you talking about like
Multiple.
5?
So let's say a holding co versus a operating co structure. So you have
Right.
a holding co that has one bank account and he's transferring monies back and forth, and then you have an operating company that may have two bank accounts and maybe a credit card. What are your thoughts on running 2 orgs on a 1 org dashboard?
Yeah. So we don't recommend that. We roll the Xero fees in to our, we pay for the Xero files for the clients where we do the accounting. So we'll always set up separate Xero files. Like for us, it's not about saving money on the subscriptions.
Right.
So I have a perfect example of that where I have, an e-commerce client. I have, they have a holding company for that, which, they were advised to set up, and we just do them in separate Xero files. I think it's worth it. Um, and I think a lot of people don't realize that you don't have to pay $30 necessarily for every Xero file. You can use the starter edition for a holding company, because odds are the holding company is going to have a handful of transactions a month. And the starter edition is $9, lets you reconcile 20 transactions a month, 5 invoices, so that's plenty for a holding company, and it's $9.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We do them only in the case where there's a holding versus operating. So as long as there's not a lot of craziness going on between the entities, we'll roll the 2 orgs into one, because it's really nice to have consolidated financials.
Got it.
So we kind of upsell it on that front.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because if I were doing it for myself, maybe I would do that.
Right.
I guess it all depends on what's acceptable to the tax team, if it's okay. Like I said, we default to using separate orgs for each legal entity, or each tax filing entity. But yeah, you could certainly get away with consolidating them inside Xero. But we also have a VCFO package with Spotlight, so we have unlimited Spotlight for all of our clients. So we'll use that to consolidate if we need to do the multiple entity consolidation. Have you tried that?
I have not tried that. I've not looked into that at all. Is it pretty nice?
I would do it. Yeah, I would check out Spotlight and their package for VCFO for accountants. You don't have to pay per file anymore. And it's what's really cool about it is that you get access to the whole Spotlight suite. So that's the dashboard, that's the reporting, that's the forecasting, all that stuff. And you can just give it out to your clients however you like. So we give out dashboard for free. So the dashboard is just like online dashboard with, say, 8 charts but no financials, and we can map that or configure that however is appropriate, and then the client can go in there every month and they have a visual to go along with their Xero reports.
Gotcha.
And what's great about that is that we have separate packages for VCFO and for accounting. And so we'll give the dashboard to all the accounting clients, and it'll stimulate often conversations that they need to be having about advisory services. And so then, if you can just get a few clients who wouldn't otherwise do it to subscribe to your VCFO package, that covers the whole cost, and it's a huge return on investment.
Yeah.
So any accountants, if you're in a firm, it's probably worth doing the Spotlight VCFO package if you want to roll that out to everyone.
Absolutely. So just quickly here, I see a couple new people have joined us. So thanks for joining us on Blab.
Hello, thank you.
I'm here with Blake Oliver of HPCCPA.com. I'm Will Lopez of advisorfi.com. We're just here talking about accounting apps. We have no agenda. So if you actually want to join us, feel free to join us. I will click this little trackpad here and I will let you in, and you can actually talk. So, but yeah, I think I'm actually going to look into that VCFO package on Spotlight. How do you like the forecasting? I mean, does it nicely? Can you put in, like, let's say milestones? Because I've not looked into it. But can you put in like milestones? Like, I want to hire 2 staff members, in 8 months. Can I actually do that with my projections?
I have not tried out so they just came out with Spotlight like V2 last year. I have not tried that one. So I do not have the answer for you on that, but I would be surprised if you couldn't.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty strong then. I mean, to kind of give case studies, and I mean, that's really what it is. It's, almost like case study, like, if I do this, do my projections actually hold up?
Exactly.
Yeah. Sweet. Sweet.
So I'm curious, Will, I know you do a lot with Waze, right? A lot of your customers using Waze. What other accounting apps? Because you're not, consolidated on one platform like HPC is, right?
Yeah.
We're a Xero firm. We decided to consolidate there. What do you do?
Yeah, so we're not a Xero only firm. So realize that when I first started in the cloud practice, I did not know about Xero until maybe about a year and a half into my virtual firm practice. So what I did find out early on was the Wave apps platform, because they're, at the time there were, 2 million users. I think at the time, they had just broken 1 million users on the Wave apps dashboard or platform, and about 75% of which were here in the United States. So what happened was, got on the directory. Our firm basically grew through the ranks, almost kind of what HPC CPA did, is, started early in the relationship and then kind of grew through the ranks in the Xero space. We did the same thing on the Wave side. So it wasn't until maybe about a year and a half, maybe 2 years into it, that I actually found out about Xero. And then we started pouring people over, as they needed, from the Wave space over to the Xero space. So yeah, we're not kind of beholden to one platform or the other, just because, I've developed a lot of good relationship at the Wave side. We've done a lot of, what's really cool is they'll show us new features that they're going to roll out, which is kind of fun. And,
that's awesome.
We'll work specifically with the development team and suggest new features and stuff like that. So it's been a really good relationship. And obviously for me, Wave lets me advertise right on their dashboard. So,
that is killer. Yeah. You cannot beat that. So your clients are, your potential clients are in Wave, because Wave is free, right?
Right.
So it's advertising supported, right? That's how it works.
Yeah.
So I'm potential client of AdvisorFi, and I'm reconciling my books, and at the top is it a banner that they have?
Yeah, it's off to the right. There's banner ads, and people click through, and it's a bunch of random things, like subscriptions to Grasshopper or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, though, because it is a free platform and it's not as strong as Xero, it's not meant to be as strong as Xero. It's meant for the 1 to 5 employee area, as far as, literally sole proprietorship, right? Running your little photography business, and you're just looking for something, right, that shoots out invoices. So really quickly, I see people that joined us on Blab here. Thanks for joining us. I'm with the amazing Blake Oliver, HPC, CPA.com.
Hello.
And I'm Will Lopez of advisorfi.com. We have no agenda, but we're talking cloud accounting apps. And
oh, look, Will, you're blowing up with the likes there.
I'm getting a lot of love here. I'm getting a lot.
Oh, thank you. I feel better now.
Man.
Somebody else,
I have more like
Reminisce 32. Thank you.
But so Wave is a free platform. We have a lot of sole proprietor clients that now have, let's say, 1 to 3, 4 employees, and they love it. They love the platform for what it is. They love the simplicity of it. They don't want like robust reporting. They don't want to get lost and all that kind of stuff. So it is a different area of business ownership.
Right.
It's an area that, people don't want to get bogged down with crazy features. I love those crazy features. I love them. I want to take advantage of all of them. But they just want to crank out invoices, and that's about it.
Yeah, and the way I see it is that, Wave, let's say your accounting firm used 2 apps for your clients. Wave is really a great fit for The Schedule C sole proprietor types, absolutely, right? Because they don't need a balance sheet, and that's one of the things that Wave doesn't do. Am I right? They don't do the balance sheet,
No, they do
or
balance
do
sheets.
they?
No, it's a double
Oh, they
entry
do now.
accounting.
Okay,
Yeah, no, they've always
double
done
entry.
it. It's full double entry. They do balance sheet, income statement, age receivables, payable.
I'm thinking of FreshBooks. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, FreshBooks doesn't provide the balance sheet. Now, the only thing that Wave doesn't do is it doesn't turn your reports from cash to accrual. I'm sorry, from accrual to cash. What they also don't do is they don't offer a cash flow statement. So they don't have, like, let's say, Xero's function of the cash summary. So, for the most part, people are seeing their numbers on the accrual basis, and it's kind of up to the accountant to turn those things into cash.
To adjust them. Interesting. And I wonder how many actually do. Like would if you're sending your Wave reports to your accountant and they don't really know the software, maybe they'll just file it as is, and you could have had lower income, net income, if you'd converted.
Yeah. So, we convert them over to cash, obviously, but yeah,
Well, that's because you're responsible.
I know, and I have 44.
I'm gonna give you some props for that. Here we go.
That is great.
You get points.
Wonderful. I got 50 points so far.
Hey, everyone, we've got 8 viewers. Thank you so much for joining. If you want to grab an open seat, you're welcome to join us on the call. If you're shy, you're welcome to type a message. I know some people, and will let you in because this is a free-for-all, and basically our goal right now is to try and get somebody to join us on this, because we've never had that happen. This is our second Blab. Actually, I think this is the first Blab we've done where we've actually had people watching. So thank you for that. And if you want to ask a question about an accounting app, that would be really awesome. You can just make one up, even if you don't really have one, just to give us something to talk about. That would be so cool. Thanks, Thomas Kellner, for joining. SpringNet. We got a question. You want to read that, Will?
Sure. I use Mint and FreshBooks. What apps would best complement these for accounting? You want to go?
Oh, that's great.
You want to go first?
Yeah, so, well, I'll say this. I used Mint personally for many years when I was not an accountant in my prior life as a musician. And I very much liked it because it was very easy to use. And I could, you can collaborate with your spouse very easily to share a budget. It doesn't integrate with anything. And I've actually had clients who were doing books on Mint. And what I did is I actually had them export their entire history into I think you can do a CSV file. And so then it has all the transactions with the categories and stuff. And I could actually do like a pivot table in Excel and import that into, say, a QuickBooks or a Xero file, if that's even necessary. Say they wanted to convert, that actually worked really well. But really, it's like not something you'd want to do on a regular basis because it's kind of a hassle. So I would only do that if I wanted to convert from Mint to a double entry accounting system like Xero or QuickBooks. FreshBooks integrates really well with Xero in that it will send all the invoices into Xero for reconciliation. So I actually have had some pretty large clients running startups. They started small. They started on FreshBooks. One in particular was one of those video production companies. They make like the 60-second videos that start, on your website to explainer videos is what they're called.
Right.
So they were sending invoices in FreshBooks, and when they retained me to do their accounting because they were successful and growing, I said, okay, we need something double entry because your corporation, we have to have the balance sheet, and I don't want to do that manually. So I put them on Xero and I synced the FreshBooks invoices into Xero.
Yep.
So that's one way for your accountant to do it. Another would be just to like pull the accounts receivable data in FreshBooks, like run the report periodically and then journal that into Xero to change it from cash to accrual. We've done both ways. So it just takes the accountant knowing what reports are available and what's the most efficient thing to do. If you have like a small volume of invoices, but they're high dollar value, then it makes sense to sync them into Xero and reconcile. I think we'll like that. Gave me some props there. Or if you have a lot of invoices that you're sending, it makes sense just to do journal entries into Xero to record the accounts receivable.
Yeah.
And with Xero, what's cool is you can mark journal entries to either show or not show on cash basis reports. So you can record all the accrual entries and not have them affect your cash basis reports, not to get too wonky, I hope.
Yeah. And real quick, let me actually answer Stream Outdoors question. Thanks for joining us and watching.
Hello.
You said Stripe versus Square, so I'll tackle that one. So there really is a difference between the two. So Stripe obviously provides solutions that are for like web-based merchants, especially those who need to easily create, let's say, complex or customized payment platforms, marketplaces, app-based services, stuff like that. Square is kind of a mobile credit and debit processing environment. That's what they're kind of doing. So they kind of have this, external reader. You can do things on your phone, on your tablets. A lot of people use Square for, like, let's say, really hip coffee shops, right? You have your little tablet in front of you, and then you have the little Square swipe device. So that's really the difference between the two. I mean, I'm sure that the merchant fees are probably the same, 2.9%, 30 cents per transaction. I think Stripe has like these phases or these buckets. When you hit certain amount of sales, the 2.9% starts to go lower and lower and lower. But that's really the difference between the two. So Stripe is really popular for, let's say, web-based activity. Square is really popular for, let's say, mobile or on the go.
And one thing I would add about Square that is kind of not well known is they have some really neat features they've built into their app on the web. And I think maybe on mobile as well, I'm not sure. But for instance, you can now send invoices using Square, right? So I could, if I'm a service provider, I can send in an invoice. I can send an invoice to my customer and I can get paid. And if I'm using Xero, all that syncs, but it syncs on a cash basis. So it's like I can manage all my invoicing in Square if I want, and I can get the 2.75% credit card processing, and I can have all that synced to Xero without having to, if I'm only doing my books for tax purposes, I don't have to get all the invoices in there. So it's an interesting option. I haven't had anyone do that yet, but it is a pretty great way to potentially get paid. Using invoicing, and now they have like scheduling. They just keep adding new features. They added payroll in California, which I don't have anyone using that because they're limited right now, but
yeah, do you
something worth checking out.
Blake, really quick, do you actually do any of the you Stripe for like recurring billing? Because I know they have that function as well, so you can actually do recurring billing. So if let's say you have clients, or if you're a business owner and you're charging someone,
Yep.
I don't know, $500 a month for whatever, Stripe will also do recurring billing. So that's obviously another difference between Square and Stripe is it's meant for, let's say, some stronger customer management in the billing side.
Yeah, and the integrations, that's what it has all the integrations, like you said, right? So for instance, I use Stripe and FreshBooks personally for recurring invoicing for a few friends and family where I manage like a domain for them, and I have to bill them for their web domain or their, website that I put up for them. So I do it as a courtesy. And so what I'll do is in FreshBooks, I'll set up a recurring invoice. And I've got the Stripe integration turned on in FreshBooks. So my, father, for instance, gets an invoice for his web hosting. He can then turn on recurring payments in Stripe through that FreshBooks invoice.
Right.
And so it all syncs to Stripe, and then FreshBooks generates the invoice. Stripe charges him every month. It all syncs into my Xero file for reconciliation, my personal file.
And
pretty cool.
Paul Terry, you had asked, what about using Google Sheets? Are there any accounting plugins? I don't know offhand as far as Google Sheets and accounting plugins into Google Sheets. Quite honestly, there's so many amazing, cool accounting apps. I would not use Google Sheets to run your business. You could use platforms like Xero, that are very, very strong, or Wave Apps if you're just a solopreneur that wants something a little simpler. But I mean, Blake, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes. So I have a handful of clients, low activity, who prefer to use, Google Sheets or Excel. And so what you can do with Xero, another neat feature is there's a template that you can grab from their help site, which is the template for importing bank transactions. So what I do is I give that template to my clients and I say, just enter your transactions in here as they happen. And so you put in the date and the vendor name and description, and then I actually give them their chart of accounts, and they can actually code the transactions in the spreadsheet for me. So they'll put in the account number for each transaction. Now, if it's formatted properly, if it's all filled out with all that information, I can then take that spreadsheet and import that into Xero as fully reconciled data automatically. So that's one way to do your books in Google or Spreadsheets or in Excel, and then have the file available to your accountant so they can actually have an accounting file with double entry.
Right.
So you import it, it's all reconciled, no extra work. And you can do that with, like, we're accountants, so we have access to certain subscriptions that are less expensive than, they're limited. So we have one called Ledger, which is just for write-up. So we might set up a client on their Ledger file, and then that's for like annual write-ups, so annual bookkeeping. So we'll just import that spreadsheet in once a year.
Yeah, I like
so
it.
That's one way I've used it. There's also an accounting plugin, I don't recall the name, for Xero, which will it's a Google Sheet that will do all your reporting in a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So it pulls from Xero into the spreadsheet, and then you can create like custom reports in Google Sheets.
Yeah. And really quickly, Terry, Paul, if you want to join us here on Blab, if you click on that open seat button, we'll let you into the conversation, and you can.
We'd love to have you.
Yeah, we'd love to have you join. So feel free to join. I see your other question here. So I have Xero now with FreshBooks and Mint. That should be enough. I think that's more than enough. Can you share that spreadsheet you use as a public doc on Google Doc? Yes, I would say.
So the spreadsheet that we use to import.
Oh, yes. Okay, I see.
Is that what we're talking about? Yeah. So that's actually available on Xero's help site, and I'll go find it right now.
Oh, he's looks like he's saying I have to set up my audio. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So, like I said, if you want to join us, feel free to join us, Paul.
So, Will, I'm looking up this the link for this importing file. Yeah, and there's a special way you have to do it if you want everything to be reconciled automatically. Import and reconcile.
And while he's doing that, just quickly, for those who've joined us, I'm with the amazing Blake Oliver of hbccpa.com. I'm Will Lopez with advisorfi.com. We really have no agenda. We're just here discussing, let's say, accounting apps and accounting best practices. Anything that you want to ask, feel free to ask.
Okay, so I'm going to post this right now in messages. Here's the CSV template for importing transactions already reconciled. There we go. So that is for you, Paul. I hope that is useful. There's on that page, there's the CSV file, and you can just download that. You can import that into Google Sheets, and then you could use that to categorize your transactions throughout the year. But you have to make sure that you have a chart of accounts set up in Xero so that you can then code the transactions with the correct account number.
I like it.
All right. Well, this is great. We've got 9 viewers. Oh, we just lost one. Oh well. But we got up to 10.
Absolutely.
Which
hey,
is which is better than last time, which was 0.
Actually, 2. I was watching and you were watching. So.
Oh yeah. So we're included in this number. So really, it's 7. So thank you. 7's a lucky number. We appreciate you watching.
Absolutely. Once again, for those who've joined, I'm with Blake Oliver of hbccpa.com. I'm Will Lopez of advisorfi.com. Have no agenda, but if you want to join in on the call, click in, and with a click of my trackpad, I will let you into the Blab conversation, and we can just shoot the breeze.
And so we're here to answer your accounting questions. We're talking about accounting apps. We've been talking about Xero, Wave. We've been talking a bit about Spotlight. Last time we talked about Expensify. There's so many add-ons these days. It's really hard to stay on top of them all. So it's great for me to be able just to talk with Will and find out what's going on. We're a Xero only firm. We've decided, at HPC we use Xero for everything. Just it makes things simpler. We love it. We don't have to deal with multiple different accounting systems. So I lose track of what's going on in the rest of the cloud accounting world in terms of non-Xero add-ons or accounting apps like Wave or QuickBooks. So I'd love to hear from you guys what is innovative going on in that area too.
Absolutely. You said you now offer free accounts to Spotlight, Blake. Have you guys gravitated away from Fathom?
Well, Fathom, I loved Fathom, and I've loved testing it out. It's on the pricier side when it comes to individual accounts, and when I went over to HPC, they were already on the Spotlight VCFO package, so I haven't really played around with Fathom much because Spotlight has done what we need. But the way I would describe Fathom is that if it last time I looked at it, it's not particularly customizable in terms of the screens that you get. So if it works for you, great. If you need something that's a little more customizable, you're going to want to look at Spotlight or Crunchboards.
Yeah.
And
So
Crunchboards is the. Have you used Crunchboards?
I have. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, tell me about it. I haven't
Uh,
tested it.
Okay, so I mean, it has a very it's so I mean, you have this different levels. So for people who are watching, there are these business intelligence apps that integrate into, let's say, the Xero space, Xero accounting. You have Spotlight, you have Fathom HQ, and then you have a new application which is out of the UK called Crunchboards. Crunchboards is actually kind of a good in between Fathom and, let's say, Spotlight accounting. What's good about Crunchboards is you have these kind of tile functionality where you can kind of move certain projections around on your dashboard. It takes a lot of metrics and margins and stuff like that, and really keeps track of that kind of stuff. It does have a projection feature inside of it. Now, I've not messed with the projection feature inside of it. Like I said, we don't have any clients on Crunchboard, so like you said, it's kind of hard to keep up with these apps. You kind of sign on, kind of almost use your own data, and just kind of
That's
try
what
to
I
test
do.
it out. Yeah. So, besides that, I mean, the feel of it is really strong. It has kind of like a spreadsheet look to it as well, or at least you can toggle on the spreadsheet look, and it kind of gives you a little more flexibility of what to do with the data. But it's pretty good. I like it, and I've not heard of the VCFO package on Spotlight. I almost would gravitate towards Spotlight because it looks simpler to use. And I think for a lot of small business owners, for those who have joined us, you would want to gravitate towards something simpler. You don't want to get overwhelmed with so much that's out there. So.
Right. The whole point for the small business owner of having these graphs and charts is to make it easier to understand the financials. So
Right.
if the reporting package ends up being complicated, then it's kind of defeats the purpose.
Right.
Definitely.
And
Hey,
Crunchboard.
we're back up to 10, which means we have. Oh, now we lost 2, so we have 6 now.
Okay.
But momentarily.
Success. Well, thanks for joining us really quickly. I'm with Blake Oliver at hbccpa.com. I'm Will Lopez of advisorfi.com. No real agenda besides talking accounting, talking about accounting apps, accounting practices. If you guys have any questions or if you run a small business, let us know. And, we talk with very successful business owners every day and some that are kind of trudging through just owning their own business. So, yeah, so I mean, as far as Crunchboards, Crunchboards integrates to everything, right? QuickBooks, Xero. So they've done really well on the integration side. I've not looked into whether or not they have any other open APIs that is directly into Crunchboards itself, besides those main accounting apps. I don't know if it integrates into inventory software or what the deal is. So, but that would be great because I'm, creating a nice. Does Spotlight do that? Does it integrate with anything else other than the accounting software?
Yeah, so integrates with Google Analytics for sure. That's one that's really neat. So you can track your sales, say versus your web activity to see if there's some correlation. They do a number of them. That's one I'm really familiar with. They also will integrate with just any Excel file. So you can, if you have data that you've collected and you want to import that, you can do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, Crunchboards is expensive, so I don't know, if you looked into that. I think it's like $30 per org, or I think they charge you $150 for 5 orgs or something like that.
Got it. So you really got to use it to make it worthwhile.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the Cadillac plan.
Yeah, and that's the thing about these add-ons is that the main complaint, right, is, well, if I have to use 5 add-ons to serve one client, then aren't I better off just going with something like more mid-market, like Intact or NetSuite, in order to serve them? It's a really good question. I'm still of the philosophy that the plug and play, the mix and match ecosystem thing is where is going to be long term the best bet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why we're in the Xero ecosystem. That's why I love it, because I get to test out new apps. Whereas if you're just on one system that does everything, that's what you get, right? And there's not a whole lot of innovation that typically goes on with a system like that.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I mean, the breadth of business control by utilizing, let's say, a virtual platform like Xero that connects to, let's say, inventory platforms like Sin7 or something like that, that also connects to, let's say, a front end marketplace like Shopify. I mean, sure, you pay, whatever amount for the Xero, whatever amount for the Sin7, and whatever amount for the Shopify subscription. But all in all, you could probably run your entire business in a multi-million-dollar business, maybe paying $100 to $200 a month in virtual platforms that all talk together, all integrate together. And that's incredible. That's unheard of. And, I was sharing with someone yesterday that, the past 3-4 years, it's just been a massive business revolution in the small business space.
Absolutely. It wasn't possible 5 years ago.
It just was not. And, the resources that these big companies, Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 1000 companies have now trickled down to people like yourself and myself. And we can connect into amazing accounting software that connects with amazing inventory software, for example, that connects into amazing front-end websites that you can just sell product hand over fist, and everything just talks together and integrates together. You don't have to do anything besides maybe click a couple buttons. And
don't make it sound too easy, or people won't see the value.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. That's why I'm around.
I would say that I'm just kidding. Is that that's the thing, is that when you have all these systems talking together, they tend to break, right? It's natural, and so we know how to fix them. And really, the most important part is setting them up properly in the beginning, right? Because if you set them up wrong and the data's not flowing right, that's what we encounter all the time with clients coming to us, right?
It's a whole new. It's the same thing as running your business on a desktop software. If you don't set it up right, you're just going to have junk in, junk out, anyways. So
well, and it's funny too, because this is really a new business. This is not the wheelhouse of a traditional accounting firm, right? It's not tax. It's not even accounting. It's business process. I call it business process consulting. Is one way to talk about it. It's we call it workflow design at HPC, and it's really something, like you said, that it used to be only available to enterprise, and you have to go to a consulting firm to do it for you. And now small and mid-sized CPA firms can do this kind of work using off-the-shelf tools with a little bit of customization that we can do on our own. And it's this whole new world of services that's available, and it's highly profitable, highly valuable to the client. We're making this possible, and it's just blows my mind that it was 5 years ago, really, that this became possible in the U.S. thanks to the development, or the maturity of cloud accounting apps in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. I still see we have about 7 people joining us. I see Paul still with us here. I don't know if you had a chance to join in on the call, Paul. I'm more than willing to let you in on the conversation if you want to come join us. It'd be great. You'll be the first one, since this is our second Blab, as Blake mentioned.
I will give you lots and lots of points.
We'll give you lots.
I'm giving Will points right now. You can see those little. It's actually my picture, which is really funny.
Yeah.
So it's popping up.
I'm taking the oh, there we go.
Yeah, he's at 80 now. I'll give you like 80 of those I'll give 80 of those to whoever joins us to be our first victim on our show, which does not yet have a title, but I feel like needs to have some sort of title. So we have to think of that. Maybe if anyone has a suggestion, we'll gladly take that as well. You could name this show, and perhaps this show will one day turn into a network broadcast. You never know. This could be the beginning of something huge, right? Cloud accounting could take over. Like NBC, they're not doing much these days, right? Maybe they need a show on accounting. Who knows?
Well, I think you pronounced that wrong. It's huge, by the way.
Huge?
So, huge? Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have to agree to disagree on that one. I'm from the best coast, and we say huge.
Okay.
Over here.
Very cool. Somebody
huge.
Reminisce
is on your side, and so If how about this? If you agree with Will that it's huge, you should give him props or whatever they call these
I already
things that
have
you
84
can.
props. There we go.
Uh,
I won.
yeah. So I guess nobody agrees with me.
Okay, great. Well, I mean,
Oh,
we've been in this. What do you think, Blake? 45 minutes. We've answered some awesome questions. Do you need to get
Hey,
going?
I think we should get going. We're doing this every week
Yep.
at 8:30 Pacific, which is what 11:30
11:30
Eastern
Eastern.
on Blab. You can subscribe, I believe.
Yep,
There's a way
absolutely.
to do that.
You could also follow us on Twitter. I'm at advisorfi, and I think Blake is your Twitter account at Blake T Oliver.
Yes, Blake T. Oliver is my Twitter. You can follow. We tweet it out when we go live. And again, it's 8:30 Pacific every Thursday is we're going to be doing this for at least half an hour or so, maybe more if people actually show up. Thank you guys for showing up.
Absolutely. Thanks. And once again, I'm with the amazing Blake Oliver of HPCPA.com. I'm Will Lopez of advisorfi.com. We'll see you guys next week, and hopefully you guys will subscribe. All right.
Thanks. It was
Take
a
care.
pleasure.
All right. Bye, guys. Let's see here.